Hello everybody and welcome back to my learning space. So this is a follow-up video from the last video that I did of jazz piano for beginners. Today we will be following it up with which tensions to choose as well as inside voicings for solo jazz piano. Now before we get into that, I'd like to give a shout out to my Patreon members. In fact, I feel like I should have been doing this much sooner. So thank you guys so much for your continued support. I really appreciate that. And I would also like to give a shout out to Tsep, or Smile Champion, who is almost always the first person to comment on all my videos. I do see you and thank you. How to know which tensions to use. These are sort of kind of almost rules that you can use, but tensions are subject to change based on the song that you're playing. For major chords, almost always the ninth will work. Major 7 plus 9. The ninth is just the second degree. Up an octave. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. For minor chords, the ninth and the 11th. For dominant chords, now dominant chords can be really confusing, but again I'm going to tell you which ones I have seen to really work. Over minor 2-5-1s, let's take G7, the flat 13, flat 9 and sharp 9. The natural 13 as well as the flat 9. So secondary dominance, almost always the sharp 11 is probably the best place to put. That is within a secondary dominant. Secondary dominant is a dominant that is not functioning as the chord 5 of the tonal center that you're in. So if in the key of C major, G7 is the primary dominant. If there's a D7 within the key of C major, then that's a secondary dominant, is the 5 of 5, for instance. So a secondary dominant, let's say G7 was functioning as a secondary dominant. Here we would add the sharp 11 with the natural 13, with the 9th as well. Natural 9, natural 13, and the sharp 11. It's the 5 of 5. If we had started it like this, root 7th, 3rd. Okay, now I'm going to add the 9th, which is over here. Remember, a tension is always kind of like a 10th or an octave above the bass note. Doesn't always have to be, but that's just how it's named. So here we add the 9th. Have a half diminished. And for chord 5 here, because it's a minor 2-5, we're going to add the flat 13. That's an option, but we had also said flat 9. I personally don't like that flat 13th there, just because it's too close to the melody note, so let's rather put the flat 9. You can add the 9th there, which will create a cluster if you like that sound. Now here I'm adding a sharp 5 to this minor, to the 5 of B flat minor. So and here the 9th is already on the melody. And I'm going to add flat 9 to this one. So the thing with tensions is that you also use your ear and you also look at voice leading. Kind of hard to explain this topic, but because I'm hearing here I'm adding the 9th to the major. Here I'm adding the 9th as well. Here's the 9th over the major. We have an 11th there and the 9th. Now the F7 that's coming up is actually a secondary dominant, is the 5 of 5. So we're going to add a sharp 11 there, as I had said. And we had said that dominant chords that are within the tonic key want a flat 9 and the natural 13, which is actually a triad, which I have done a video on. Inside voicings. Now inside voicings, I have learnt this mainly through transcription and listening. This was never really taught to me. So I'm going to show you 3 inside voicing techniques. So something like over a minor chord, over chord 1 of major, or on dominant, an altered 5. Yeah, so these are the 3 that I'm going to show you. 1 on the major, 1 on the minor, and 1 on the dominant. I think I heard that in a gospel song. That's the next one. Over a major, you want to do a half step from the 5 to the 6, which actually mimics the bebop major scale, and it's a diminished movement to the chord 6, which then in turn gives you a major 6 chord. Or I've heard Horace Silver do this a lot. So now let's try to add everything: tensions, inside voicings over major, minor, and dominant, altered dominant. And you can really just play around with these and see what you like, what you don't like. Also transcribe on your own and find things that are useful to you, and see how jazz artists have used tensions and inside voicings. So here we go.